Give this episode a thumbs up. Since the Brown family purchased the land, Coyote Pass has been a point of controversy in their cul-de-sac back in Las Vegas. The Sister Wives clan had the ideal arrangement naturally. However, when Robyn Brown expressed her desire to be nearer to her kid, Kody Brown had to stir things up and force a move to Flagstaff, Arizona. After that, the women were dispersed throughout the city and in different residences. As the women discovered they could survive and prosper on their own, there was little chance of preserving their one large contented family, even if they still adhered to polygamy at that time. What was the selling price of Coyote Pass? It was announced that Coyote Pass had formally transferred into new ownership. Following years of unrest, according to the US Sun, the era is ended because the Sister Wives cast members no longer have any legal claim to the land. The 14-acre Flagstaff property, which was bought for only $820,000 in 2018, sold for $1.5 million. According to the publication, the Browns struggled to decide what to create has been seen by Sister Wives viewers. The family simply played in the mud puddles. Over the first few years, eventually Kody suggested a single large family home, similar to what they had in Utah. Meri Brown, Janelle Brown, and Christine Brown, however, did not agree. None of the 5 planned homes were ever built by the family. They simply were unable to put themselves together. The land turn became a major point of controversy. They battled for years to repay their loan, and Kody decided to use the family funds for other projects. However, they managed to pull together enough cash in June of last year to avoid having the bank take away their Coyote Pass. Coyote Pass was owned by whom Janelle Brown was the only Brown to ever reside on Coyote Pass. She spent a year on the family's land after purchasing a high-end RV, like the other spouses. Janelle, however, never established roots completely. Ownership was not divided equally between the spouses. From the start, 2 larger parcels and 2 smaller parcels were present. Not unexpectedly, all 4 parcels were partially owned by Kody. However, in order for Kody to construct his own house, the land had been divided into 5 plots. Christine sold her package back to Kody in 2024. For 10 viewers have seen Meri and Janelle struggle for their rightful possessions. According to the site Robyn, Meri, Kody, and Janelle were the last owners at the time of sale. According to the property documents, Meri and Janelle each own 50% of the 242-acre plots, while Kody and Robyn own the other plot. According to the documents, the couple held 50% of the 3rd and 4th plots of land, with Meri and Janelle owning 25%. Each, according to the site, there was a land dispute among the family just before the transaction. However, before to the sale, the packages were moved on March 27, 2025. 2 of the land parcels were transferred from grantors Kody and Robyn to grantees Kody, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri. Regarding the 3rd property, Kody and Janelle are listed as the grantors, transferring the land in Janelle and Meri's names in the amount of $10. Does Kody Brown remain a resident of Arizona? All 3 of his first spouses have left Flagstaff in search of better opportunities. Since divorcing, Kody Christine returned to Utah and is now married and settled there. Janelle moved to the state of North Carolina as they begin their new farming endeavor. The mother of 6 is doing well and residing with her daughter Maddie Brown since returning to Utah to operate her bed and breakfast. Meri is also doing well. Kody and Robyn are still blissfully married, and they both live in Flagstaff now. In November, they sold their house in the mountains for $1.7 million. Additionally, their home was frequently highlighted on the TLC program. Additionally, it appears that Kody is establishing roots in October. He and Robyn paid $2.1 million through their trust, the Whitstone Trust, for a house with 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. As the second half of season 19 approaches, Sister Wives viewers are already aware that Kody will be irritated by his ex-wife's success. Since the show's debut in 2010, I have been a viewer of Sister Wives. I have never been compelled to purchase a piece of jewelry from the Browns collection, which is appropriately named My Sister Wife's Closet. Most of those accessories were probably cursed anyhow, and Kody Brown didn't exactly appear to know how to express true love. However, some admirers thought the concept was outdated. "What is the current state of my sister wife's closet in 2025? Then what we know is as follows. My sister wife's closet was founded by whom Robyn Brown led my sister wife's closet, which surprised no one. She observed Meri Brown and Janelle Brown working outside the house. Furthermore, Christine Brown was happy to raise the kids. It became clear to Robyn that she needed a creative outlet while she was in Las Vegas. The jewelry in the line was bulky and felt antiquated. Consider the Hot Topic fairy necklace from the 2000s. The line was a huge hit on the previous seasons of Sister Wives, but it was a complete failure. It wasn't successful, Janelle said in an interview with Kate Casey on Reality Life. We most likely didn't know how to manage a company as a family. In my opinion, in hindsight, it definitely ought to have been more of a personal matter. Janelle had strong beliefs about why the family shouldn't invest in the jewelry company in the early seasons, but she was disregarded. I've been so removed from the business that I have no idea, she continued, adding that she was the least interested person in the conversation. Customers aren't receiving orders for my sister wife's closet. According to Meri Brown, Meri revealed on the most recent episode that she continues to receive emails about my sister wife's closet. The messages aren't exactly providing encouraging feedback, though. The single mother mentioned that she just got a mail from a customer who ordered a jewelry. Despite never receiving it, somebody reached out to me regarding a My Sister Wife's Closet order that he had placed on the website but hadn't received and is now trying to get his refund or get his item. Meri told cameras Meri shared that she hoped Robyn would reply to the customer shortly after taking a screenshot and forwarding the email. The same consumer had sent this email twice. Without a response, Robyn revealed in her confessional that she began the business more than a decade ago, selling only small items. It's kind of on pause right now, Robyn said, putting the business on wait, though she and Meri do receive notifications of possible orders. My sister wife's closet is closed, according to Robyn Brown. The mother of 5 brushed off the problems when producers questioned Robyn about the website's continued existence. She said to cameras, "The cart is not disabled, and sometimes people sneak an order in." Viewers were offended by her remark and immediately asked how, as she had stated it was possible to sneak an order in if you shut down your business. Robyn appears to be the cause of the whole mess, but she won't accept responsibility. She should stop taking orders if she doesn't want the store to be open. It's strange that she believes blaming the client is acceptable. The jewelry line's website, My Sister Wife's Closet, is still very much up and running. Robyn, Meri, Christine, Janelle, and Kody launched the online shop according to the blurb at the top of the page, which also features a photo of the 4 of them. We have always had a dream to develop and design quality products made in the United States that the everyday woman would use and treasure, but add our own personal touch while promoting femininity, strength, and family. The blog states Robyn's friendship with Michael T. Brown was celebrated in January 2019 with the introduction of the dog tag necklace. Since then, the two have fallen out. My Sister Wife's Closet isn't your one-stop shop. If you're looking for a lovely piece of jewelry for Mother's Day, I would advise you to keep searching the tale of a huge area of Arizona wilderness known as Coyote Pass stands as a monument to hopes wasted and connections irreparably damaged in a world once driven by aspirations of unity and unbreakable bonds. The once inseparable family thought they were moving toward a better future. When they left their worn-out houses in the dazzling Nevada deserts together, they saw themselves creating a kingdom, a network community where their principles might thrive. However, Flagstaff soil turned out to be far less productive than they had anticipated, and the seeds they sowed never really took hold. It was silent at the start of the end. The earliest signs of the unraveling were a quiet mutter of discontent, a slight prod toward change. It started with a single voice and a proposal sparked by a mother's wish to be near a child who required family support. The concept seems harmless enough at first. However, this wish would end up echoing across the family like a thunderclap with unanticipated effects. The family packed their lives into boxes, left the security of their cul-de-sac, and headed into the pine-dotted hills of northern Arizona. Without fully realizing the hazards that lay ahead, originally arranged in a chain of common aspirations, their residences were now dispersed over a vast metropolis. Their family tree's roots started to splinter and strain. During that dispersal, Coyote Pass, a dream, dissipated. The country itself was stunning, a vast stretch of untamed beauty, embraced by the soft tum of the ground and kissed by infinite heavens. This location was part of their intentions. Big ideas. Each of the 5 houses would be tucked away far enough for solitude, but close enough for community. There was a common garden where generations would plant memories in the soil, a shared bonfire pit, and trails that wound between their plots. Their paradise was to be there, however, without unity. Dreams, no matter how meticulously nurtured, can fall apart. There was a lot of enthusiasm in those early days as the kids played amid the wild grasses. Meetings took place, plans were drawn, and there was a lot of laughter. They even discussed constructing a huge house, a great lodge where each member of the family would have their own wing, yet still be under one roof, much like in Utah's past. However, not everyone could still envision themselves living that way. Private scars had grown too deep to be easily healed, hearts had changed, and independence had increased beneath courteous grins, boiled skepticism. The fantasy of a community dwelling died. Quietly, plans for individual homes then gradually fell apart as well. Years passed except for the laughter of teens having improvised picnics and the footsteps of kids running in the mud. After monsoon rains, the area was unaltered. No foundations were poured, no barriers were raised. Just a desolate dreamscape that gets more isolated every season. The territory that separated them, land ownership, was a very other issue, and it came with its own set of difficulties. Despite their frequent discussions about equality, the family's actual circumstances revealed a different picture. The division of the property was not made equally. There were smaller and larger pieces. Additionally, there was a single individual who kept an interest in each piece, a subdued display of power hidden under familial politics. One sister wife bravely chose to live on the land itself because she was intrigued to the idea of re-establishing a connection with the soil and creating a simpler way of life after purchasing a mobile home, putting it on the ground, and announcing her freedom. She remained clinging to the brittle dream longer than anybody else through winter and sun seasons. In actuality, though none of them could give their all despite their desire to work things out, the distance between them grew wider with each missed mortgage, payment disagreement about how to spend the money, and tears shed in the lonely homes dotting the city. They tried to save the emotional foundation they had established. However, it became more evident that certain wounds had festered for too long to heal despite their best efforts. The last farewell to Coyote Pass. It seemed almost unbelievable when rumors started to circulate that the land was finally up for sale. Is it possible? Were they really prepared to let go after all the sacrifices, heartache, and fighting? The answer eventually surfaced. Once thought to be a hallowed location where the family's hopes would come true, the land had been signed over to new owners, the pledges made under the wide sky, and the joy of their children would no longer be remembered by the soil. The land sold for a good price, higher than what had been paid initially, but many people thought it was little. In comparison to the years of emotional commitment, the signing of the last document signaled the actual end of an era. Now that they were not legally bound to Coyote Pass, the family members were free and possibly more isolated than they had ever been present. Situation dispersed, yet more powerful, though life unforgiving and unrelenting led them each in various places. The echoes of Coyote Pass persisted. One woman went back to her birthplace, always missing the comforting hug of snow-capped mountains and the scent of pine trees. After a rainstorm she took with her, the bittersweet realization that she had put her own pleasure ahead of joint goals that no longer fulfilled her soul. She discovered a deeper love for herself in that new chapter. In addition to finding love once more, another sought new pastures far to the east, whose origins had long been entwined with the practical and pragmatic. She and her daughter started planting new hopes there, surrounded by fields and new beginnings. A farm developed and she put the burdens of the past to rest with every seed planted in the ground. A third was dragged back toward the country she had previously only seen in passing. She dedicated herself to managing a family business that had had previously been a side endeavor, giving it the attention of someone who recognized that true legacies are not founded solely on aspirations, but rather on tenacity. The man who was once the center of them all was still there. His life remained bound to the place where they had fled in search of a fresh start. He bought a huge, expansive and opulent estate with the wife who had originally pushed for the relocation. It might have appeared to the outer world that he had prevailed. However, the echoes of lost laughter, betrayed trust, and vacant homes continued to reverberate within the shadows of that magnificent home, the things we can learn from dreams that die. There was more to Coyote Pass than just land. It served as a mirror, reflecting every rift in their bonds, every unspoken grudge and every hope postponed for too long. It demonstrated how even the biggest dreams turned to dust. In the absence of unity, it showed that even when independence seems like a betrayal, it can actually be a blessing. It demonstrated that regardless of one's position, freedom comes from learning to live a life based on truth, rather than from having unrestricted freedom. A family that dared to dream large, but forgot that true unity is not constructed from blueprints or promises, is spoken about in the wind that blows across that now sold land today. It is created gradually and painfully with daily deeds of compassion, forgiveness, and love. Coyote Pass ultimately belonged to the land itself, not the family whose names had previously adorned its actions, and those who once called it home still carry the truths it taught in their hearts. Viewers were first exposed to the complex dynamics of a multiple marriage, as well as the different economic endeavors the family pursued in order to support their huge family from the very beginning of the family's television journey. One endeavor stood out among the relocations, hardships, and personal disclosures, not because it was successful, but rather because of the complex emotions. It evoked my sister Wives Closet, a little jewelry company that was the product of the family's shared vision. The idea of purchasing anything from their boutique has never particularly appealed to me, even though I have been a devoted follower of their story from their television debut. In the early years of the previous decade, maybe the products were tainted for me by the complex feelings surrounding the patriarch's difficulties expressing genuine devotion. Perhaps I had a gut feeling that anything with that much unresolved tension would be doomed from the beginning for a brief, glittering moment. However, my sister Wives Closet represented hope, creativity, and financial freedom for the women of the home, and many devoted followers thought the concept charming. Curious people are still wondering what happened to the store that once claimed to empower the women as the 25th year progresses. Here's the whole tale. The dream sparked the concept initially gained traction in the Las Vegas portion of their narrative. One wife, who had always shown a keen sense of creativity and a strong desire to make a significant contribution outside of the home, found herself craving a personal endeavor. She looked for a different route, one that would enable her to establish her own business while remaining firmly connected to the family, while two of the other wives were occupied with juggling jobs outside the home, and one remained fully involved in raising the younger children. The jewelry collection was born out of this desire. My sister Wives Closet was intended to be a group endeavor, reflecting their common ideals of feminine strength, solidarity, and familial bonds. It claimed to exemplify the sisterhood empowerment and shared destiny that the wives advocated to the world. The jewelry itself had a very distinct early aesthetic and was big, noticeable, and heavy. It included statement pieces, thick bracelets, and enormous pendants. Closing one's eyes might conjure images of whimsical fairy charms, enormous rings, and slightly out-of-date metallic finishes that could have been taken from the shelves of a hip teen boutique. 20 years ago, the items were not understated, but they were lovingly crafted, even while the show focused a lot of attention on the company. In its first few seasons, viewers soon realized that despite all of its advertising, the boutique was having trouble mass appeal. Never quite occurred, but orders began to trickle in soon after there were complaints about the design price and quality. Nevertheless, the boutique persisted, if only as a beacon of optimism. Dreams that aren't aligned, problems ahead. A few years into the adventure, one wife who had always handled business with a practical mindset opened out about the challenges facing the boutique. In an honest interview speaking on a reality TV podcast, she acknowledged that she initially questioned if a group business model would be feasible in their family setting. In retrospect, she acknowledged carefully, "I think we didn't really know how to run a business as a team. An individual effort rather than a group effort probably would have made more sense." She thought about how she tried to promote jewelry even if she was never really into it herself. Her involvement with the venture, however, was at best shaky. She acknowledged that over time she lost so much interest in the organization that she was essentially unaware of its daily operations. One of the boutique's silent killers would turn out to be the family members' varying degrees of dedication, a limbo business, unresolved orders and increasing dissatisfaction, and the boutique started to deteriorate as the seasons changed and the family started to disintegrate, both logistically and emotionally. It was impossible to overlook the jewelry industry's fractures. By the time the most recent season aired, one of the original spouses revealed a concerning update during a candid moment captured on camera for the show. Even though the boutique was dormant, consumers were still using the internet to place orders even worse. Their products were not being delivered. She described how one particularly obstinate customer sent her an email. The person had ordered a necklace successfully, but to their dismay, they never got the thing they paid for in the hopes that the problem would be quickly fixed. The wife explained how she instantly took a screenshot of the email and sent it to the wife who had led the construction of the shop. However, the settlement was never reached. Weeks later, the same client followed up, but they had not heard back and had not been given a refund. The emails this time had an increasingly irritated and disappointed tone. The founder of the boutique recognized the issue on tape, but he dismissed it casually. She clarified that the boutique was on pause and hinted that client problems weren't the consequence of carelessness, but rather were regrettable mishaps. Many spectators felt uneasy about the time this apparent lack of accountability seemed inconsistent with the beliefs of a family that had always preached about leading an honest life. Laughing off accountability, a disturbing reaction when asked why the ordering system was still in use. Even though the firm was allegedly defunct, the woman who founded the boutique laughed during an interview with the producer. "Sometimes the shopping cart isn't disabled and a sneaky order gets through," she said. Laughing a little, fans were outraged by that particular moment. Why was the website still taking payments if the company was actually closed? Why weren't orders being reimbursed right away? And why were customers held accountable instead of the family members who ran, or rather neglected, the website? The founder of the boutique didn't seem to be able or willing to provide adequate answers to these queries. Many viewed her nonchalant disregard of the matter as just another illustration of the widening gap between the family's public persona and their real behavior behind closed doors. A moment in time, a boutique's ghost of My Sister Wife's Closet online business is still there today, a forgotten artifact from a bygone era. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, get more updates.